there, Station One listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Your Station One podcast. That's right, folks. We are back, and each one of us has our Kevlar suits on, our ties, and we're ready to be able to talk all about John Wick. That's right. We're all checking into the Continental tonight, folks. We are so ready. And you know what? We got a great crew to talk all about this one. Of course, we will be spoiling the heck out of this movie. So if you haven't seen John Wick 4 yet, please, please, please go and watch it. It is awesome. It is a ton of fun. And we will be spoiling the heck out of it. So if you haven't seen it yet, folks, please check it out. Of course, my co-host, my concierge, you could even call him, Mr. Mike Gordon himself.
Oh, I don't know if I would I want that title. I wonder if Kevlar makes like Aloha shirts, because that would suit me a little bit better than those nice suit jackets.
I don't ever think I've ever seen you in a suit and tie, so I think I definitely hope Kevlar has the Hawaiian shirt
otherwise
and the baseball cap going.
Otherwise, I'm doomed.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And we have, of course, joining us, Mr. Matt Sweatman. Yeah, rented lips tonight, folks. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. Thoroughly enjoyed the movie and anxious to talk about it.
Do you have your token to join
us? Oh, I didn't get the 4. Oh, you're talking. Okay. They had a giveaway with the popcorn. If you bought the deluxe, you got 4 coins. I thought.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't splurge for that.
The movie theater I went to was all sold out of that, which was really, it's like, man, see if I ever go to, that movie theater ever again. Bastards.
You will.
No,
probably next weekend.
No, not that movie theater, because it was weird. Because I only had a certain amount of time this weekend to go see a movie.
Oh, sure.
And so I had to go to a different one because I had to go Sunday morning, and most of the theaters I usually go to didn't have it till early afternoon.
Yeah, I get that. So, there's very few early morning showings anymore.
Well, and not just that, but also because of it's being a 3-hour runtime, they weren't, going as early with it and everything. So yeah, I was lucky enough to find a theater that actually had a 10 a.m. theater showing of it. And so Regal Cinemas, you suck. Just saying that. And if there goes our sponsorship, but I don't care. It's okay. It's okay.
So Regal had the coins too?
They did.
Because I went to AMC and they had the coins for sale. Mm-hmm. I didn't inquire on how much they were or anything, but
they did.
It was $25. You got a large popcorn, a collectible popcorn tin, and 4 collectible coins. Yeah.
Gotcha.
See, that would be worth it. That's worth it, because they usually just charge $22 just for a regular popcorn and a drink.
That was true.
Yeah. So, all right, Mr. Mike, should we go start with the movie?
Yeah, let's get started. As you said, Mike, we are going to spoil the heck, and there's some big things that happen in this 4th chapter. Big things. So if you haven't seen it, stop now, because we will be spoiling it as of right now. Because it looks like this one is the last one. This is the last John Wick chapter, or is it? So let's talk about the box office. We kind of mentioned that a lot of people had seen it. This one did insanely well at the box office. Last week we talked about Shazam underperforming, and there were a lot of reasons for that. But one of the reasons was suggested that the box office still is recovering from COVID. Well, that's not the case this weekend, because John Wick 4 almost made double over the weekend that any of the previous John Wick chapters have made thus far. The production budget was just a little bit under Shazam's at $100 million, but it did so much better. And for an R-rated movie, one that's like 3 hours almost, that's crazy good. It's amazing to me to see that. It grossed $73.5 million in the United States and Canada, and a worldwide total of $137.5 million, which, we'll see what happens next week when Dungeons and Dragons comes out, and maybe takes up the premium theaters. But I think without anything else after that, I think this one looks like it could stay around for a little while anyway in the theaters. And the pre-orders on Apple Plus or Apple TV are insanely huge too. It's the #1 movie that people are ordering, and it's not even out yet. So there is a demand to see this movie. I'm not sure exactly why that is. We talked about John Wick as a saga, as a franchise about a year ago. And there were a lot of unanswered questions. I don't think any of us thought that we were going to see the end of it this soon, but of course there's all these spin-offs happening and everything like that. We can get into that later. But as far as this movie goes itself, Matt, what's your history with John Wick, and what were your expectations going into this movie?
Well, I had not been a big John Wick fan. In general, I'm not a big action movie guy, but by the time the third one came out, I had my A-list membership. It was the big release that week. I said, well, I need to watch these first two. By that point, it had a reputation of being a very good series. And so I streamed the first two, and I was instantly hooked. The story was great. The world building was outstanding. And besides which, I don't think I've ever seen better fight choreography in a movie, bar none. But they managed to up the fight choreography in the third one, and it continued the excellent. And of course, and when the fourth one came out, by that time I was hooked, and I had to see it that first weekend.
Yeah. This is the first one I've seen in the theater, and rightly so. I don't regret that at all. I think it's definitely theater, Dolby theater. That's the especially theater I saw it in. And it was great experience. So I definitely recommend people see it on the big screen if they can. Mike, what were your expectations going into this? Did you think this is like just another one, or did you think what did you think? Were you excited?
Oh, I was very excited. Like you, I came to the series very late. And, this, like you, this was the first one I had actually gone into the theater and seen. I had missed the first two at the theaters, and everyone was like raving about it. And, don't kill the dog, don't kill the dog. That's, one of the things people always say stuff. And it was very interesting to watch it finally and saying, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch this. And then, when number 3 came out, I probably had seen the first two like within the first week or two before it came out, but I just couldn't get to the theater, and I knew it wasn't on our schedule to review at the time. And so liking the first two, I watched the third and was real pumped, especially the way the third one ended with, he was like, he had gotten shot off the roof, and, and he was rescued by Lawrence Fishburne's character. And, it was a perfect setup for number 4. It was like, I just thought, oh, all hell's going to break loose. And I was excited for it. For me, watching a John Wick movie is like watching a video game, like a first shooter, video game. And they played on so many tropes on that, especially in this movie. And we're going to talk about it. And it exceeded expectations completely. And it was a ton of fun to be able to watch it and to be able to enjoy it in the theater with a tub of popcorn, and being there like a little kid on a Sunday morning watching.
Yeah, like you, I came to it late, saw it on streaming or however, HBO, whatever it was on. But I got caught up quick. Saw the third one. I don't think I know I didn't see it in the theater. I don't know how quickly I saw it once it was unavailable, but I saw it, and that one I was kind of weak on. I didn't there's a big chunk of it with the Halle Berry part that I just didn't I didn't get invested in at all. And I thought it was just kind of over bloated. So I was worried because we all heard that this was 3 hours, and specifically I had heard that the first 2 hours are kind of dull, and then the last hour is like the best action you've ever seen. So while I was watching it, I was like, I don't know what movie those guys saw. Because the first hour and a half flew by so fast for me. Now, maybe on a rewatch, maybe some parts seem a little slower than others, but I really enjoyed and was invested in every, and to me, it just built up and built up and build up. And then finally, when he ends up in Paris, I mean, yeah, that is a cinema history making third act.
Mhm.
I think. Yeah, they definitely saved the best for last. I think, because man, I think people are going to be talking about this choreography and this, and it feels like, I mean, look, I don't go into this thinking it's going to be that deep or anything like that, but I really like the action pieces. The plot is okay. It gives a reason, whatever. And the cast, I love the cast. Keanu is amazing in it. Not just in the fourth one, but the whole series. And the other folks that are in all the other ones too, Lawrence Fishburne, Ian McShane, Lance Reddick, rest in peace. They are outstanding. It's good to see them all again. And they always, when they bring in new characters, they bring in really cool actors as well. So I really enjoy watching this. The look, the feel, the sound of these movies are just really well done. I don't think anybody's doing action movies as good as this now. Matt, what did you think of this one in particular? When you came out of the theater, what struck you? What were your thoughts? Did it satisfy you?
Absolutely, it did. I couldn't believe they managed to top the previous movies, but they absolutely did. It did have a little bit of setup. They had to set up a little bit of the plot, but once they had the scene where he had to get out of the hotel in Osaka in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty much no holds barred from that point on. Everything was just, I mean, there was very little chance for a breath, and it just built. And they had so many other characters who held their own as far as the action with Keanu Reeves. In particular, the character of Kane, which is played by an actor who apparently is big in the Asian market in
Yeah,
action
Downey
movies.
Yen. Yeah.
And
Yes.
and he was absolutely amazing. In fact, in some ways, I think I liked his character better than John Wick. Uh, to bring in a character like that to hold their own with John Wick is just incredible, and I loved every bit of it.
Yeah. Mike, I think we know, but this was satisfying for
Oh
you?
God, yeah. It was awesome. The characterizations, like Matt was like saying, were just awesome. Ian McShane was the Ian McShaneiest he's been in all the films. And he's so sly and he's so cool, but he also so conniving at the same time. And he has always like an undertow to it. He did the same thing on American Gods when he played Odin or Mr.
Mhm.
Wednesday, and it's just the same. It's very cool, and I just loved his character in this. And like Matt was saying, the character of Kane was just awesome. He was honorable. He was conflicted throughout the whole movie because John was his friend, but the table had a something over him, which was his daughter.
Right.
And
Right.
it was really, really well done. And I just thought, his character, you know I was like trying to figure out how can how can they go through this, and then the character of Mr. Nobody, and
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was awesome. I was walking out of there going, who
Mhm.
was he? What, was he just another assassin, or was he more to it? I could see there being a spin-off with him. you
Mhm.
know
Yeah. Well, they
he,
plan
he is
on, I
such
mean,
a
they've opened the door for tons of spin-offs.
oh yeah, we'll talk about that, and I figured that
Sure.
towards the end and everything.
Yeah.
But it was so well done. These characters were awesome. And let me ask you, because I was the only person in my theater that stayed to the very end for that final
Yeah.
scene.
No, there was a few of us that stayed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because no one stayed. And I think you got a pretty good payoff of what's to come.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
yes and no. Um, and well, this is, I think, a big thing that we have to talk about right away. John Wick dies at the end of this movie. I didn't expect it. I didn't believe it. You know, when now, and I think a lot of us at the end of the after the credits roll were thinking there would be some sort of scene to hint that he's not really dead.
That he's drinking in a
Um,
cafe and Alfred sees him over in the corner.
exactly, or that, you know, that yeah, he's not dead yet. Matt, what did you feel like? Did you feel like the death scene was earned? Did you feel like, or how'd you feel about it? Did you feel like he's really dead?
I think they're keeping their options open. I mean, I think there's enough wiggle room if they want to say he didn't really die or he faked his death or something. I think there's some wiggle room there. Um, I mean, Keanu Reeves is roughly our age. This kind of role has got to start to wear on you at some point.
Oh man,
And
and he does most of his own stunts too.
yeah, so I have to imagine. I mean, I've already seen reports that the studio really wants him back. They want him to do more John Wick. It's just a question of whether the creative personnel in Keanu wants to go through that again. But I think they've got a nice 4-movie package if they want to say this is volume 1 of the John Wick story. And if they want to expand this universe in other ways, they can go that route as well and still continue to milk the cash cow, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think? What'd you think of him dying, Mike?
I didn't see him die. I never saw a dead body. You saw him on the stairs, but
He's just
and
napping. He's just
no,
napping.
he was just, he faded, let's just say. But
Yeah.
it's also a perfect way to end it, because it could be that he died and he got the gravestone, beloved husband, and it was what he wanted, and he could be out there still, but now everyone thinks he's dead. And I think that could work. I really think that could work. Because, yeah, I've heard that both him and the director are saying that's it for quite some time. They want to walk away from the character for a bit. But the heads of folks at Lionsgate, of course, are going, no, 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 no,
You
no.
just made so much money, right? Like,
Exactly. No.
but Keanu's pulling that thing. We saw Daniel Craig do it in the James Bond franchise. We saw Harrison Ford do it with Star Wars. They're like, I'll come back, but only if you kill off the character, right? Like that seems to be now a trend, I think. And which makes me really scared about the new Indiana Jones movie. But uh so I think Keanu has said in interviews that include spoilers that yes, they thought that the only reason to make this one was if he dies at the end. And I think I like the way they did it, if he is truly dead. But
But he's
in
getting much better. He's getting
in
much
this day
better.
and age, I just don't know if I trust that kind of thing. It didn't really do much. It didn't do enough. As you said, Matt, I think they left it so they could keep their options open. And I think that I felt like was a bit more of a cheat. Like, decide one way or another. Like, if you're going to do that because and we'll talk about it later, but with the spinoffs, they're going to be prequels and Keanu's going to be back in some form to help out with those. But as far as his story, it's done. Knowing that, do you think that this was a suitable finale for Keanu Reeves and John Wick as a character? Matt?
I think so. I mean, you have to remember not only are these 4 movies, they're 4 movies that happen pretty much one right after the other. When has he had? I mean, he's got to be tired. All these scenes back to back to back to back. So yeah, I think I've refrained from buying these in physical media because I kind of want to wait toward the definitive box set. And I think with the box set that will inevitably come with the 4 movies, I think I'll be ready to splurge and buy the 4K 4-movie box set.
Yeah, Mike, what do you think? Is this was a fitting finale?
Oh, I think it was a great finale. It's the same way. If 4 is a good number for him, 4 is, a great ending. I think if he was released from his debt to the table, he got Kane, he was released from his debt to the table. So basically, he got what he wanted out of it, and if he dies, so be it. And I think it's a fitting end for the character. It reminded me, and I was thinking about this while I was watching the movie. It's almost like the Blues Brothers police car in the Blues Brothers movie. It got the Blues Brothers to where they needed to go. And then when they got to Daly Plaza at the very end of the movie, as soon as they get out of it, the car falls apart. That was John Wick, literally. And I think it would be a fitting end for the series. And he went out as a hero. He went out, doing what he set out to do. And I think
Did he though? Because
he didn't.
the
He
table
didn't.
the
He didn't
table's still
destroy.
there.
Well,
Everything
as
is
everyone
pretty
kept
much
on,
as it was
everyone kept.
when
Yeah, but he destroyed certain people that he wanted
they're just
to.
going to put more people there.
Well, that's exactly where I was going with it.
Yeah.
The table will never be destroyed, even if he destroys the elders. Somebody else will step in their place. And it was a fruitless cause, and I think he finally realized that halfway through this movie.
Yeah, I wish we had seen him come to that definitive conclusion, but because I do think they tried to make that clear in this, because they said a number of times, like, you can kill him, but someone else is just going to pop up in their place. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, it's futile what you're doing.
It's like
And
Hydra, cut off one head, another will pop up.
he's like, I want to kill them all. And so he doesn't do that. Although he does save a couple of people, so that's a good thing. And and he gives Winston his hotel back, and everybody seems to be relatively happy, although there were a lot of casualties on the way. A lot of people that were close to John are dead. And then you got to think that this all happened because he was grieving his wife, and and some random people killed his dog, which were very, very, very under the table, under the carpet, under the cellar, like, people in the organization, right? These, like, the people who killed his dog were, like, not even close to being on any level of impact. So he really took it up the chain. But I did like, right from the beginning, someone just asked on social media, they said, what do you think is the one of the, like, best character entrances that we've seen in movies? And of course, there's a lot of brilliant ones, but I have to give them credit. Like, seeing Keanu Reeves, seeing John Wick in a black suit, on a horse, in the desert, guns blazing. I don't know if it gets much better than that. I mean, that's a great entrance.
I don't disagree with that at all.
I mean, it made no sense, but it was still cool. Like, and that's what a lot of these movies are, right? You give them a pass because it just looks so cool. Matt, what's some of your favorite set pieces within the movie?
Well, the finale, or leading to the duel, that whole scene on the stairs, to climb up the stairs, maybe if I had to fault the movie for one thing, that rolling down the stairs looked a little exaggerated. It continued a little too long. Actually, the crowd, and I saw it, and they actually chuckled at that scene when he kept rolling down the stairs.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he ends up in the like the back bed at the bottom, I think is comical. I think that was intentional. But yeah, I mean, it did, that's rough.
Yeah. And of course, when Kane joined them at the bottom of the stairs for the second go around, and Kane was going to help them get there, that was, again, I said before, Kane, I think, is my favorite new character in this, and just, that was an amazing scene with Kane. And then the I guess they're called him Nobody, or the assassin guy, the sharp, Nobody.
Yeah.
He got involved in his in the person that he is a support animal for, or the dog he's a support animal for, also participated very, very purposefully in that. I love that. And I love the way they set up his turn, in that John Wick saved his dog, saved his partner. And that basically he earned goodwill with the other assassin after him and gained another ally for the end. And I really love the way they set that up.
Yeah, apparently it was saving that dog was worth $40 million.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Because he gave up $40 million right there.
He did.
Because to John, it would have just been another kill. Like really, like the tracker. I don't know. Have we seen trackers before? Because they sort of acted like we knew what those were, but I didn't really. Yeah, I didn't really know. There's a lot of things, as you pointed out, Matt, that the world building here, and it's just they just assume we know things, and I kind of like that. They don't have to spend a lot of time with exposition, like explaining how this works or whatever. It's just like, here it is. If you understand it, cool. You can think about it if you want to, but we're just going to go ahead and do some more action if you don't mind, right?
It's all about the action anyway. So
I think from the minute he gets off the boat in Paris and has to make it to the church is the most exciting chase, whatever you want to call it, sequence that I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, that fight scene outside of the Arc de Triomphe was just amazing.
Yeah, it starts
and the people
with
getting hit and everything.
It starts with them fighting in the street, and that quickly goes to that arch there. And he's driving against traffic, which is always nerve-wracking when I see someone do that. And then of course it's accentuated by all the other action that's going on there. From that to the piece in the chateau where they're using the dragonfire guns, and the way it's shot beautifully, as you said, Mike, from like a video game, because we see it from above.
Oh, it was
such
taken from a video game. The looking down at the scene and seeing into the various rooms and seeing even the people who attacked him, still living, crawling away, and then and trying to get away, and him following them and then shooting them in the head or something. It was just like, that was just awesome.
I do appreciate now, and this is established right in the first movie, but John doesn't take anything for granted. He always has a headshot for anybody. Like, he's like, I don't want you to get back up and get me from behind. So he always finishes him off with a gunshot to the head. And then after the dragonfire stuff, so cool. I could have watched that sequence for like 2 hours. Like, I was just like, this is so badass. Those guns are awesome. And they exist. They're like, I looked it up afterwards. They're the real things.
That's scary.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're taken to an extreme here, but still there's but and then of course as you pointed out, Mike, then it ends with the stairs. And that is just, it's insane. It's kind of monotonous, but it still works. And it's just one of those things that I think that whole like chase scene in Paris, I think is going to be talked about for a long time, and it's going to be hard to top that.
It kind of reminded me of the TV show Daredevil and some of the fight scenes that they had, like in the hallway and stuff. And I think this notched it up by 100 times, but it's like I could see the basis of it in this. And I was like thinking the whole time with Kane, it was like Daredevil right there, and how he doesn't have the heightened senses like Matt Murdock does, but he uses his blindness to his advantage. Like in that fight scene at the hotel in the kitchen, he was putting the door sensors, and so the doorbells would go off, so he would know exactly where these people were. Was just brilliant.
Yeah, I thought they were going to use that a little bit more. Once he did it the first time, I thought, oh, we're going to see that a little bit more, but we never saw it again. But I want to echo something that, since you mentioned Kane and Donnie Yen, I want to mention something that, making out this movie, yes. I mean, Keanu is a star, but Donnie Yen, I think, this will make him like, he's had a lot of opportunities to be like well known in this country. He's done a lot behind the scenes. He works out as a fight choreographer for a lot of movies, video games, et cetera, et cetera. His resume is insanely impressive.
Oh yeah.
And I think most people might know him from the series of IP Man movies that he stars in. And he's, like I said, he's done a few American movies here and there, but they've been smaller roles. And I don't think obviously they weren't enough to catapult him to stardom. But this movie, him in this is just amazing. His performance, the fact that you never question that he's blind. Like, certainly you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but the way he acts, he's never quite looking at his target. He's never quite like he never quite moves his head like I can see. Instead, it's pretty obvious that he can't, and yet he still can fight like a mother.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, he held that sword in a lot of the fights. He held it. It was almost like he used it to like gauge things that were around him. The way he held it, and I think that was a very effective way to kind of show him feeling his environment or sensing where everything was.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And as Mike said, I mean, a little bit is like, comes from Daredevil. I mean, I don't think he has the quite the superpower ability, but it's almost superpower-ish. Just like it's superpower-ish that Keanu or John can take so many. I mean, he gets beat up in this movie so many times, and I'm just like, there's no way I would ever get up from that. And yet he gets up and starts doing it again.
Oh my God, when he took off his jacket and his vest when he was at the church and hearing all the bullets coming off of the Kevlar,
so funny.
it was just awesome. And it was just like,
I think he gets hit by a car like 10 times.
Oh yeah, and he gets up from it.
Every single time. And he falls down like 100 stairs, like twice. And yeah, I mean, he falls off a building. He falls off a building out the window onto a van,
onto a minivan. Purposely. Someone didn't throw him. He jumped.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I mean, he gets whooped in this one, and I think at the end of it, there is a sense that he's like, I'm over this. I'm tired of this. I don't know if it's the actor coming across in the character, but I really felt like by the time, because I wondered how they were going to resolve it. How do we get Keanu and Winston not dead, but how also do we save like Kane and his daughter? Like that was a no-win scenario, and yet they found a way cleverly, I thought, to make that a win scenario. The fact I did not catch it that he did not fire. Did you guys catch that? You probably did.
No, I think I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice that he didn't fire. So I would have been dead just like the jerk there. Who I have to say, I thought Bill Skarsgård, who played the bad guy there.
Yeah.
I thought he was really the Marquis. I thought he was really outstanding as a villain too. He was one of those guys that unfortunately doesn't choose to fight his own fight. And so I usually don't like villains like that, but I thought he was really effective at being sly and villainous. And I don't think I'd seen him in much before. So what'd you guys think of the bad guys? What'd you guys think of Bill Skarsgård? And then we have a few others there. Anybody else in particular that you thought was effective as a bad guy?
There was the one in the club who played five card draw with them.
Oh, right.
Right. He is the one who had like he was supposed to kill to get his credentials back from the family and the Russian family. So he was interesting because he surprisingly he did show that he could fight when pressed.
Yeah.
But he was sleazy, and he was just he just oozed just it's one you were very happy to see go when he got and I thought he was going to pull out the whole grill, the whole front set of teeth.
I thought so too.
I thought so too.
I thought so too. I thought it was all attached.
Yeah,
I thought it was just like Oh, it's like, oh crap. It was interesting, that whole scene though, because people are just like at the rave and they were dancing and there was those waterfalls and people were like just they must have been really stoned out of their fripping gore because they weren't noticing that people were getting the crap beat out of them or people were getting shot, and they kept on just dancing and everything until the big bad guy finally died, and then everyone started running out of there.
It was
It's
the
just like,
it was the ecstasy, I think.
yeah, it had to be.
I
It
don't know.
had to be.
I've never been to a rave, so I don't know.
I've been to a couple Dragon Con parties, but nothing like that, and everything. But yeah, it was just it was done so beautifully. It felt something again right out of a video game, especially because that mob boss was like looked like something right out of Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat type. No, not
I
Mortal
also got a
Kombat, but
Kingpin
Street
vibe from
Fighter.
him.
Yeah, very much so. Very,
Yeah.
very much so.
Speaking of Daredevil, I also got a Kingpin vibe out of him, and
And he was very nimble with some of the fighting, with the kicking and stuff like that. I was
well,
just
Scott
really
Adkins, if you
impressed.
look at him, he's not that big. He was wearing a fat suit,
Oh,
so
of course.
so I mean that helped a lot in terms of his movement and everything. But yeah, I thought he was pretty good as a foil just for a little while. It was kind of a side quest there, but I allow it because it was interesting.
Hmm.
If it went through a lot of side quests that weren't going to go anywhere, that and they weren't interesting, then I would say like, why are you making this 3 hours? Because you could have cut the German stuff easily from the plot. But it was fun, and knowing that this is going to be Keanu's last outing as John Wick, at least for a while, you kind of even allow it even more. It's like, okay, we'll give you another hour worth of stuff just because we're going to miss you. Right.
True. Very, very true. But yeah,
Um,
it was interesting, and I didn't mind it. And you know, him getting the family back, another closing piece for him.
No,
yeah.
it was all part of Winston's machinations, and I think it was brilliant the way Winston. Oh, I'm getting my hotel back. I'm getting reinstated in the table. It's like, oh, I think it was brilliant the way he set all that whole situation up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the family had to pay for it. And let's not leave out Clancy Brown.
Oh yes,
I always love seeing Clancy Brown.
When he first showed up at the hotel at the very beginning, it was just like, oh, this is good. This is going to be good. And I thought he was going to be something even bigger than he was, but I loved how subtle his character was in this.
What's really cool about this is that the director of this, Chad Stahelski, I think his name, Stahelski. Um, he is right now assigned associated with the new Highlander reboot, and obviously he's now worked with Clancy Brown, so and Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is actually in one of the Highlander movies as well, not a good
Oh,
one.
that's
So
awesome.
that's not
Oh,
I
damn.
feel sorry for him for that,
yeah.
but anyway, so yeah, that could be kind of fun to deal with too. But anyway, um, I must say, uh, especially due to current events, seeing Charon, the concierge, get killed right in the beginning was hard.
Yeah. I had a moment first one 2 times. First when we saw him first on the screen, and then we got shot. I said, "Oh," and it did bring. I don't want to demean the real life death by saying it brought more feeling to the scene, but the scene reminded you just that we didn't just lose a character. Far more importantly, we lost a really great actor,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, very much so.
and yeah, that those scenes hit hard. Those scenes hit hard.
Yeah. I mean, even though he was, in the grand scheme of things, he was a concierge, he wasn't really a main character. I think Lance Reddick brought so much to this franchise in that role. And yeah, I think I would have been upset to see him die without knowing that the actor was passed away because I just liked him so much.
Yeah.
So that was rough.
He was
But
such a good character anyway throughout the whole
yeah.
series.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about Sonata. manager of the Osaka Continental Hotel. Always amazing to see him in something, him and his daughter. What did you think of the Osaka hotel sequences? Mike, I'm going to start with you this time.
Oh, damn. Okay, no, I thought those scenes were beautiful. It was very stylized. I thought it was extremely, extremely done well. And I love it through like the first half of the battle. Kane was just sitting there drinking a bowl of pho, and eating the noodles. And it was just awesome. And the fight sequences and the bad guys, and then the daughter she was great. She was pretty darn awesome. And some of the battle scenes, especially when they were in the museum part of the hotel, reminded me of the last movie a
Yeah,
bit,
that was a
because
very similar vibe there, with it looked like they were in the same kind of thing. I think that would have been nice if they had switched that up a bit.
exactly.
But
And
I think it was also a definite callback. There's a lot of callbacks in this movie to the previous three.
mhm, I knew the father wasn't going to survive. That was, it was pretty obvious right there. If you're John Wick's friend, you have a target on your forehead, basically. So yeah, it was interesting. And the the choreography in this for all the fight scenes were just amazing. And there was not one, it wasn't the same intensity of what came later, but it was exciting to see, and it was fun, you know seeing everything. And that's when I realized, oh wait, they've got bulletproof suits, because everyone was just and that's why he was going for the headshots and everything. And then I remembered from the last movie, the soldiers had the whole body armor and the face masks, and John was having to shoot him underneath the masks and everything.
Right, right. Yeah, he had to get up really close
Mhm.
in order to unless he was using their gun. I love too, that little attention to detail where he runs out of ammo and he picks up another guy's gun and he starts using that. So, it seems like I mean they do take liberties with how much ammo he has, obviously, and sometimes it seems like that gun's never going to run out until it's convenient to the plot, but or convenient to the fight scene choreography. But it works. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, we've kind of seen that stuff before, but I still was intrigued watching Keanu do all that. I mean, I'm amazed that he can do that at that age. I'm
Mhm.
just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's about our age, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
can't do half that.
I can't even think about doing any of
Exactly.
that.
Exactly.
And he's in
Exactly.
how much better shape than the three of us combined?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So regarding this movie, as we mentioned, we all like it, and it sounds like we all like it a lot. It's been announced, and we talked about this last year when we did our franchise review of the whole thing. There's going to be a series that's released with Ian McShane called The Continental, which is going to be a prequel series.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if Lance was supposed to be in that or not. I don't
From
know.
what
I
I
don't.
was reading earlier today about it, is it's supposed to be about how the Continental in New York, how he got his start there, and the concierge.
Gotcha.
It's supposed to be played by younger actors, but they both have filmed scenes for the Ian McShane and our friend who passed away.
Mhm.
Both have filmed scenes for that series. It's only a
Yeah.
3-part miniseries, from what I've heard.
Gotcha.
So
Mhm.
So it's not going to be like an ongoing series. And then they announced today the new series that is coming
A
out.
TV series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, I
Oh,
didn't hear
actually,
about
no,
the.
no, not
I
a
heard.
TV series. It's a new movie that's coming out 2024.
Yeah, a couple days ago they announced that there was going to be a spin-off movie with Anna de Armas, who was great in speaking of James Bond in and Daniel Craig in the last Daniel Craig James Bond movie. She was one of the most outstanding parts.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that she can physically, fight and be, an action hero. Um, she's playing a character from the second movie, I believe, the ballerina.
Yeah.
The
She
ballerina, she's
she was not cast as that. She didn't play that in the second movie, but they're going to recast her and she's going to play that character.
well, basically it's going to be, she's a student of the same program that John went through with the Romanians.
Right.
And so and so it's going to be a real interesting story to follow her from that on. And yeah, we're going to get that next year in summer 2024.
There's also been a lot of press now about, is the torch going to be passed to Donnie Yen to continue this? Are we going to see more Kane? Obviously, the scene at the end of the movie, after the credits, could go either way, whether or not Kane's going to be around. What do you guys think? Do you guys want to see Kane, more Kane? Do you want to see that? Or do you think like, no, he should die?
I think it'd be a great spinoff. I think his character has so much charisma, so much humor built in, so much style, and Donnie Yen just is an amazing actor. I think it would be a slam dunk if they did a spinoff with him.
I agree completely, and kept it in the world of John Wick, because they've built such a universe around it. And, all the different continentals around the world, all the organization involved with the table, and have his character maybe not going up against the table or such, but working around it, I think would
Hmm.
be kind of cool to see. Because there's tons of different underworlds that tie into it, but and his character could be somebody I would follow in a series of movies.
The last but certainly not least, as far as this goes, this chapter 4 looks like it's going to be the last chapter, as we mentioned, for John Wick. And I guess we'll close with this. Matt, do you want to see John Wick again? Do you want to see Keanu play John Wick again, or is this satisfying this as it is? Like don't ruin it. Let's just keep it as it is.
I think it's a nice way to end. I would be afraid that the desire to keep topping the previous one will become harder and harder. And if we ever had a John Wick movie which let us down, I think would diminish the franchise a bit. So I'm okay if they end it right here. I think as much as I love the movie and as much as I love some ideas of the spinoff, I think Keanu Reeves as John Wick, if they want to end that right here, I'll support that.
Okay. Okay. Mike, we know that Keanu likes the number 4. He did 4 of these. He did 4 Matrix movies. He's got one more Bill and Ted to do, I guess, to make that 4. Do you think he's done with John Wick, or do you want to see him again?
Let's give John Wick a little bit of a break. I think Keanu needs it.
He's earned a rest.
He has definitely earned the rest. This has been some of the busiest couple months of his life. Because like we've said earlier, all these movies are within a certain time frame. They're not years apart. They're, within probably just a couple months at the most. And so it's just real interesting to see. Do I think he is, going to be back? Maybe in a cameo, or maybe as an older, like sensei type thing, or training a younger person. But I don't think he will be back as in a John Wick 5 type movie. I don't want to see it. I really don't. I think, and because they're going to compare it to this one. What are they going to have, a 6-hour movie of, or something like that? No, I don't think so. And, and then originally this was a 4-hour cut of a movie. There was a 4-hour version of this. And so, they edited it down, folks. So there was even more world building and
Coming to
everything.
streaming. We're gonna
Yep.
see the longer cut of the movie, right? Release the Stathasky cut, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I agree with both of you. If they want to end it here, I think it wraps it up quite nicely. I'm curious to see where they go with this franchise. I'm on board. Whatever they want to do, I'm on board. I know, if it seems to be that they're watering down the product, then I'll deal with that as it happens. But as far as right now, you've got my attention. Whatever spinoffs you want to do. When I was watching, there's a series I like on YouTube. Grace does a show called Beyond the Trailer, and she talks about releases and everything like that. And she brought up the fact that, like, what's John Wick left to do? What's he going to do now? Is he going to just fight his way through hell? And I was like, I would totally buy that movie. Like, I would totally I would watch John Wick. I mean, it'd be kind of a Constantine type of thing too, crossover maybe. But if the next movie, John Wick 5, was John Wick in hell, I would be there opening day.
Bill and Ted already did it, dude. No, come on.
Yeah, he's already been through that. He's already
been there.
So you're saying
Right.
so you're saying the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie is actually in the same universe and is after this, is what you're suggesting?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Well, very cool. Thanks, gentlemen. This is a great movie. I had a lot of fun
very
with
much
this.
so.
This was, sorry, Zach, but this blew Shazam Fear of the Gods out of the water. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's going to be hard to beat this movie in terms of action ever. But it's been fun talking to you guys with it. And we're going to be right back we're going to close out the show. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, we are closing the sucker. All right. Hi there, YouTube people. Thank you for joining us for the bonus part, as we like to say. It's always a lot of fun to be able to talk about whatever we feel like at it. Have you guys seen with the John Wick movies how many body count that they've done for this at all?
Yeah, I think the second one has the most.
More than this one?
Well, I don't know what the count is on this one. I only saw I saw the numbers for the first 3, and the first one had like 70 some. The second one had 100 and some, and I think the third one had 80 some. And I could be wrong about that, but I don't have the numbers in front of me. But I do think it spiked at the second one. But I think this one doubles all of that.
It has to.
I think there's like 150 to 200 deaths in this one.
I lost count at the first hotel with
exactly
at that scene.
Makes you wonder how many guards they had, because it seemed like there was just an endless stream of guards. It's like, oh yeah.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was real interesting. It was just like, because you had 4 guys on horses that John Wick took out. Then you had the head of the table there that he shot in the desert. So that's 5. And then you start going from there.
Exactly.
And it was just like boom, boom.
Yeah,
boom.
by the time you get to Japan, you just lost count. Give up. Like, it's just too many.
Yeah.
Well, then there was also the people that you thought he killed, and then he went back to shoot him in the head a second time, just to make sure.
Yeah, that double tap doesn't count. Like,
no, exactly. So I definitely would be very curious. Do you think this movie actually is up there with like some of the highest body counts? Or,
I'm hard pressed to think of. I mean, I've seen some John Woo movies that are pretty crazy when it comes to gunfights and everything like that. This is very much in a tradition of a John Woo movie. It felt that way all the way through, more so than any of the other John Wick movies. To me, felt like that. And I don't know. I don't really count that sort of thing, but it certainly seemed like, just in the Paris scene alone, I think like Paris lost like 1 million people.
Oh, at least,
Yeah.
And for him to have that much ammunition on him to be able to have the guns. And I loved how he kept on picking up the guns, which made sense because his, those clips only held 21 bullets, as Lawrence Fishburne's character said in the film. So
I think when I watch it again, I think I'm going to try to count on each weapon. Then I got to pay attention to when he picks up another one, if he goes over 21 on any of those clips. Maybe I better not do that. That might drive me nuts.
that would be kind of tough.
You'll be laying there in bed, and poor Elaine's going to be like, "What are you doing? Trying to do a bullet count for the John Wick movies?"
I really do appreciate like the little details, though. Like, he doesn't take it for granted. He always does the headshot. He finishes with that. He scoops up ammunition and guns as he goes on. Also, he doesn't he's not a like a dead shot. Like, it takes him sometimes like a few shots he misses wildly. Like in the beginning when he's on horseback, he's shooting like a stormtrooper. He's not hitting anybody for a little while. And then he then he manages to take out the other riders, and then the dude at the on the mesa or whatever. But yeah, I really like the way that the gun fights are choreographed and all the attention to detail. I feel, and I don't know this because I'm not, I'm trained in gun use, but it feels authentic to me. It feels like the guns have weight, and they are not just like props that they're using.
Yeah, they
very
create
much
the
so.
illusion of authenticity. Yeah, whether it's, I'm sure there's experts in the field who would find all the flaws, but as far as a layman, I think it does give us a sense that it feels real, and
Yeah.
that's all they really need.
Just don't ask like Neil deGrasse Tyson about the physics of this movie or
Yeah. Well,
anything like
no,
that.
don't do that.
No,
Don't do
that
that.
would be just horrible. But yeah,
Although, not to put a rain on the parade or whatever, but I mean, with the thing what happened with the Alex Baldwin movie, I hope that no actual ammunition of any kind was used at all in this movie. It was anywhere near the set, because when you have that many guns going off, like the percentage of that something could go wrong is like exponentially like risen, and that's a dangerous environment. And well, I think they're all smart enough not to do that. The more I find out about Keanu behind the scenes, he seems like the nicest guy. So I would be surprised if anything like that was happening on the set. But
oh, I doubt it. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he is supposed to be one of the nicest fellas out there. And it's, I've heard tons of stories about him, especially people who've run into him in New York City and such. And so it's pretty awesome. And then to see him in this, and you know, he's a silent but dark brooding type. So it's perfect.
when he doesn't have a huge range. Although I could argue that the difference between John Wick and Bill and Ted
Neo.
is like a huge chasm that he crosses without effort, it seems like. But when he finds a role like John Wick or like Neo, man, he is so engaging and so like you can put a movie franchise on his shoulders and he can carry it almost effortlessly.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Very much so. Very, very much so.
And he doesn't
And
have that like Tom Cruise stink around him.
no,
No, I
no,
don't get a sense that he has a huge ego. He's not worried about
Right.
sharing the stardom. Like, I think if he heard me say that Donnie Yen maybe even stole the show from him, I don't think he would be jealous at all. I think he would be excited to hear that.
I
And
do
you'd
too.
love,
I think he's a giving actor. Like he wants other actors in the movies that he's in to do well, and he's willing to step back. There's behind the scenes shots of him helping the camera crew up those stairs, like helping lift the cameras. And that's not something that talent usually does at all. Not to mention he likes to do his own stunts as much as possible. Obviously there's some things he can't do, but I mean, I don't know how much is actually like CG and all this at this point, but I mean, I still am amazed at the level of athleticism that he shows in this.
yeah, I think
yeah.
after the fifth car hit him, in that scene at the Arc de Triomphe, I think maybe he said, I'll let the stunt double take the next one.
When he's on the hood of that one car and his hair is just blowing back and he's just firing away at the windshield, I was like, man, that is an iconic shot right there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I almost expect him to go, I'm Batman, or something.
Well, I think it would be.
But Batman doesn't kill. John Wick does.
He does have he did voice Batman.
Yes, he did.
I think it would be easier to count the number of words of dialogue he has than it would be the number of deaths in that movie.
Wouldn't that be a cool tie-in? Wouldn't that be a cool tie-in? How many words he speaks in this film? That's how many people die. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps from that. That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, very cool, guys. I'm glad we had a good time with this one. And we have Dungeons and Dragons next weekend to go see,
We
which is a
do.
completely different film. Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's been a
everything.
while, a long while, like years since I've been to the theater 3 weeks in a row.
Oh, yeah.
I'm predicting though, I think it'll be successful, but I bet you, if I had to predict, I bet you John Wick 4 in week 2 edges it out next week. That's
You
my
think so?
prediction. I
Well,
think
it is
so.
getting a good word of mouth. So,
Right. And that's what I think will drive it. Everybody's going to see what the hubbub is about after all the great reviews, after all the great numbers. I think a lot of
hmm
people are going to want to see it a second and third time. Yeah,
hmm
I think it edges it next week.
Hmm.
Okay. I'd be curious to see.
I
Stay
definitely
tuned,
think
folks.
that
Stay tuned.
because usually the second week, it goes down. I think I don't think it'll go up, but I do think the percentage that it goes down will be a lot less than normal. Because I do think you're right. I think the word of mouth on this is like people are like, you got to see this and you got to see it in the theater
Yeah.
because that last hour is just something that everybody, well, not everybody, obviously. I mean, it does. The audience does skew like very much like I think it's like 70% men in that see these movies. So obviously it doesn't offer a lot for women, hence the reason why Ashley isn't joining us tonight.
He
Well,
hasn't seen any of them, though.
well,
Okay.
speaking of that, there was somebody sitting next to me to my left in the theater who left about a third of the way into the movie.
Wow.
And I
Really?
was like, okay, I can only assume because he was one of those people who were on their phone during the middle of the movie, and I can only assume he had a family emergency. Go, why else would you leave that movie? It just boggles my mind.
That's craziness. That
Yeah.
is weird. Because, well, it might have been too violent for them. You know, you
I
never
saw
know.
No.
I saw some folks leave at the you know at the credits,
Well,
and I was
yeah.
like, I stick around. I always stick around anyway, but I'm like, I think there's probably going to be something here. I don't know if did they do post credit scenes before in any of the other?
No, this is the only one that did.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, when the credits went on, I actually looked it up real quick because everybody else got up and I had heard rumor about it. So I'm glad I
Yeah.
stayed.
I'd say about 60% of the audience stayed, and I figure if that many people are staying, that they have heard something. And I stay anyway, whether or not I think there's a scene or not. I like to watch the credits. I'm weird that way, but I
Just that way?
Amen,
No.
man. I
yeah,
do the same thing. I show respect to the people who made these things.
yeah, and I like that kind of gradually getting into the back into the real world that the music gives you a little bit. But
So
Right.
it's true. That's a good way to
uh,
put it.
but I can usually tell by the number of people who have stayed what the word of mouth is about whether there's any end credit scenes or not. And this one, a
Right.
lot of people were staying, so I really thought, okay, yeah, we're definitely getting something else.
It was real interesting. I will say that for sure. Well, thank you guys for staying with us. And, you two people, we want to hear from you. What did you guys think? Please write us feedback at earthstation1.com. Definitely would love to hear from you guys. Okay, we're going to wrap up the show now. And this is going to wrap up another episode of the Earth Station One podcast. Want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Matt, thanks for being here with us tonight and talking about a little, gun show in Paris. It was pretty awesome.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Anything you want to shout out about, sir?
Well, yeah. If anybody here is a fan of the Monkees, my wife does a podcast on here, Monkeying Around. And again, a bit of a, I mean, I may be obviously hyping it here, but she does a great job with it. Her and Charles and Veronica. And I would just recommend people check that out.
So
Cool.
interesting. Very
Well done.
interesting. It's a very good podcast, and I'm happy to be the executive producer on that show. So it's even better, got to check in on the kids, and I think they're knocking it out of the ballpark. And I love how Elaine has taken to podcasting, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah. She's
So
helped
now
me out a
you're
lot
you're
too.
a podcast widower, actually. So it's pretty awesome. And Mr. Mike, we made it through another one, sir.
We did, and as always, it's my pleasure.
anything you want to shout out about, sir?
Yeah, I just want to give an update to people who've been following the story with one of our cats, Hero, who in October of last year was diagnosed with FIP, which a lot of vets say is a terminal disease. But I got wind of new treatment that is being available for and to help him out, and he responded really well to the treatment. We watched him. He was on the medication for like, I think, 12 weeks. And then after he was off the medication, we had a period of 12 weeks where we were supposed to watch him and see if it recurred. And that period is now over. So he's been declared as cured from FIP.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
for a disease that most vets and most people think is terminal, there is hope for FIP cats. It's not hugely common, but it does happen a lot more than it should. And unfortunately, the stuff that you need to address this stuff to treat your cats with FIP is not commercially available. But there's a group of people called the FIP Warriors that are online. They're on Facebook. Seek them out. If you need to, seek me out, and I will point you in their direction, because they are doing a fine thing. They are helping save lives. And I don't think there's anything that, is a greater calling than that. So, we just talked about a guy who's taking lives really well, but the FIP Warriors save lives, and I owe them a debt of gratitude because Hero is a very special cat to us, and as they all are. But he's been through a lot, but he is looking good, and it's all because FIP Warriors. So thank you, guys.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Great news. Great news.
Yep. My shout out real quick is to the Sandy Springs Theater. We actually went on Saturday to go see their production of Spamalot. That's right. Monty Python's Spamalot was here in Atlanta for 2 weeks, and it was a fun engagement. It was an amazing, amazing production. The folks who did it tied it into a very good play, a very great musical, which I've seen now 5 times. And I think this is up there with seeing it on Broadway. It was that fun. And I really enjoy it. So if you ever get a chance, go see local theater, folks. It's always great to do. And if you get a bunch of great friends to go with you, it's even better. There were 12 of us who went, and we had a blast. And it was even better because we got to go to Papa's and Beer afterwards, which is always one of our favorite Mexican places to go get stuff. We should get them for sponsoring sometime. We talk about them so much between this South Carolina Comic-Con and, all the other experiences we've gone with it. I definitely think, they could pay us with food. I think we'd be quite happy with that. So if anyone has a connection there, please point them our way. We definitely would love to do that. Okay, folks, I just wanted to say thank you as always for listening to the Earth Station One podcast. Remember, we couldn't do this without you. If you want to support the podcast, please check out our Tee-Public store and check out the brand new Darren t-shirt that we have. Wonder Warrior lives. Every t-shirt we sell from Wonder Warrior, and we have actually sold a few of them already this past weekend. We actually, everything there goes to charity. So for any of the Wonder Warrior t-shirts, it's definitely worth it. It's Darren's favorite charity that he, cared a ton about, and we definitely will, continue that for him and everything. And there's a ton of other good ESO swag there, so check it out. Also, remember, if you want to listen to our show before the rest of the world, why not join the ESO Network Patreon? For as little as $1 a month, you can help support us here at Earth Station One. Just check it out at www.patreon.com/ESO Network. We also want to hear from you, so please write us anytime at feedback@earthstation1.com. Remember, you could also find Earth Station One wherever fine podcasts are found. And now Earth Station One can be found in video format up on YouTube. Please like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Click down below and also hit the bell so you can know when we have our new videos out, since we're coming to you now twice a week. So on behalf of myself, Mike Faber, of course, Mr. Mike Gordon, and of course, Mr. Matt Sweatman, thank you for listening as always. Please hug your loved ones, have some fun, and remember, out there, folks, never hurt John Wick's dog. Never, never, ever, ever. See you next time. Peace, and we are done. Boom.